the House passed the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. Now,
I don't even know all that's in this, so.
I have to say that I actually like quite a bit of what's in this bill. Now, as you know, I tend to fall outside of the box when it comes to the Conservative Party and their relationship with police. And I would remind everybody that it's the police who have enforced the lockdowns over the last year. It's the police who go out and enforce the gun laws. It's the police who do the bidding of the government without question almost every time. Once in a while you'll have a good sheriff or something stand up to something. They might have a line in the sand. But for the most part, they take orders, they follow orders. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, you know, there's no denying that there is a bad public relations between police and the general population that isn't wealthy and, dare I say, even wealthy white. You know what I mean? Even though I hate to jump onto that race side of things, because as I talked about in the last podcast, and it really doesn't have anything to do with race. It has to do with wealth and poverty. But so in this bill, some of the things that they're going to do is they are going to revoke qualified immunity for cops.
So what does that mean?
That means that as of right now, with qualified immunity, you cannot sue the police department. You cannot sue individual police officers if, say, you feel that they did something wrong to you. You cannot sue them. You can't go after them in court.
I'm all for eliminating that.
Now they're taking away qualified immunity in this bill, and now you will be able to go after them with litigation. And just like I think that's the right thing to do with big tech, I think that is the right thing to do with police officers.
Oh, definitely.
Because you know what? If they feel that they might have to suffer financial consequences for actions, they're going to think a lot differently.
Yeah. And then you're going to people who are in there for the right reasons, too.
Right, exactly. Which, again, there's no denying that America has the largest imprisonated population, and there's also no denying that we have an unacceptable amount of innocent people in prison.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, to pretend otherwise is just, this is why I have the problems that I do with hero worship and all the stuff like that. Now, for example, perfect example, say there is a gun ban, something like that in the future, 2A is done away with. If the cops come to my house to confiscate my weapons, and I decide that that's my line in the sand, and I stand against them, and they shoot and kill me. Let's just say that's a hypothetical scenario. In that hypothetical scenario, the left essentially would be the people that sent those cops to my house to confiscate my weapons, and then they ended up shooting me because I stood against them.
Yeah.
The right would celebrate them as being heroes for what they do.
Oh, yeah.
So both sides are against you. You know what I mean? When it comes, one side is sending the cops after you, and the other side is applauding them as heroes across the board who can do no wrong. You know what I mean?
Or they just won't talk about it at all.
Which you can, right? You can respect people who serve, although I don't like that term unless you're only talking about the military. I believe that service is only the military. I believe they're the only ones that you can actually say serve. Well, police officers don't serve because although yes, their job is dangerous, they are paid well, they have an insane amount of power, there's an insane amount of abuse and corruption that goes on in the police force.
And they get to go home to their families at night.
If everything went well. Mm-hmm. Now, sometimes they don't, and there are tragic cases, and it can be dangerous, and we can all respect that.
Well, I would also argue, too, that people who are on like EMS and stuff like that, those people are they serve.
Yes.
People are very important too.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of that is on volunteer basis.
Yes.
And they're there to basically save your life. They don't care about political views. They don't care about, you know what I mean? They just care about getting you to live another day and getting you the help that you need.
I absolutely agree with that, and I didn't even think about firefighters and EMTs and all that, but absolutely. So military, those are people that serve. I don't view police as serving.
They serve the government.
Also, right.
They serve the government.
They serve the government. And now you could say that the military serves the government, but that's a lot different. People join the military, they get paid shit. You know what I mean? And their lives are truly in danger every day that they're deployed in an overseas campaign.
And the people who join the military, usually people who are prideful. People
they're doing it for the country.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? They're patriots.
They're trying to keep the people at home safe.
Whether or not they get shammed into some BS like the Iraq War and forever wars, you know what I mean? You can't put that on them. You know what I mean? Especially for those of us that were there for 9/11, not physically there, but all of us that seen it live, that remember it, that remember the atmosphere of the country afterwards. You know what I mean? I mean, at the time, I was under 18, and I was counting down the 24 months until I was going to be 18, and I could go over to Iraq. And I remember just hoping that the war wouldn't already be over by the time I turned 18, because, you know what I mean? Because being in the Middle East, I thought we'd just go in there, wipe them out, and I was like, oh, it's going to be over with by the time I turn 18. That's going to be forever from now. I was 16 at the time, and 15 or 16, somewhere around there.
Training is something they really need more of.
They do. And
we need the there's a lot of new cops that are very shaky, they're very scared, they're ready to they rely on their pistol, their sidearm. They're jumpy, and that's when mistakes get made. That's when they get a bad rap.
Right.
I feel like if you're gonna be a rookie, you should be partners with someone who's been in it for at least a while. You know what I mean? Serve with that partner for like a year or two. That way you get some confidence. You get that experience under your belt that you need. You know what I mean?
Power on.
Yeah.
Bluetooth
like I get
pairing.
being scared. You know what I mean? Like we said before, it's not for everybody. And for some people, they just have to get over those first few encounters and experience some things and get in the culture, get involved before they realize, you know what I mean? And it's, I feel like a lot of them are just thrown into it. They're like, all right, you might serve with someone for like 6 months, but after that, boom, you're on your own. You know what I mean? Doing your own patrols, answering your own calls and stuff like that. I just don't think it should be like that.
Right. Yeah. So I think we can all agree that policing does need a lot of reform. And I think that we can all agree that qualified immunity is taken away is a great step forward when you're dealing with arguably the people with the most power in the country. Because really, when you think about it, although they follow, government orders and enforce government laws and all that, police are the only people who can take somebody's freedom away.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And that kind of power needs checks and balances.
Yep.
And I think that ending qualified immunity is a great check and balance.
And the fact that they're all buddy-buddy with all the judges. It's
right.
like one.
Well, it's a good old boys club. You know what I mean? Everybody knows everybody. The lawyers know the judges know the lawyers. They know the prosecutors. They know each other's families. And that's why we've talked about before, you know what I mean? Like, this whole pretending that, because they need a warrant or something. No, they don't. They just need to say, hey, I need a warrant to go here. Judge probably doesn't even ask why. They just sign the warrant. You know what I mean? It's as simple as that.